"Don't touch that," the woman said sharply, her finger stabbing the air just inches from the panel. The man had already rolled up his sleeves, arms dusted with flour, fingers sure on the breaker box in the candlelit room. The crowd behind them murmured. "Step aside," she snapped again. He didn't flinch, only knelt, eyes scanning the tangled mass of wires. "It's your whole lighting circuit. Here," he said, voice even, the bus bars shorted, not the neutral. A hush coursed through the room, then only her breath, slow and measured. The audience clustered behind velvet ropes, all waiting. "You don't have authority in this space," her voice grated 2 notes higher now. He flicked his pen light upward, gaze steady. "Doesn't take authority, just attention." An assistant's whisper, a fuse slipped into his palm. "You," the woman said softer now, "you have no idea who," but his hand hovered just above the copper. Silence thickened, the pen light stilled. He paused. "Was any of it true?" she asked, voice barely audible. The man didn't answer. In the hush, even the bulbs seemed to lean in. Sometimes the most honest moment comes just before the lights return, stay until the very end. It started 6 weeks earlier on a rain-soaked Tuesday morning. At 5:49, Owen Reeves' shift slid from pre-dawn calm to chaos, the bakery's back door groaning against spring wind. He pressed a palm into the swinging metal, the aroma of burnt sugar and yeast sticking to his apron. The register's unplugged cord trailed at his feet, a reminder he couldn't let trip up anyone else. His wallet, zipped inside the top drawer, hid a receipt for groceries he shouldn't have tried to buy last night. Total neatly circled, his card declined. Rent was due in 9 days. A little flour still clung to his forearms as he stacked day-olds near the counter, nodding to the cleaning crew. He worked silent and fast. Customers judged whether coffee or kindness came quicker. The speakers overhead croaked static, then the sharp tap of heels cut through it all. The woman in gray strode in, flanked by an assistant and a man with a clipboard. The first words out of her mouth sliced, meant to be overheard. "Who's supervising this section? Is that allowed here?" She eyed the line, Owen, in bakery whites with the day's special dusted on his sleeve, handing a muffin to an elderly customer. He didn't look up right away. He folded a receipt in half and set it aside, hands composed. The assistant, posture rigid, whispered, "That's just kitchen help." A faint stutter flickered near the windows as the woman's tone went razor-sharp for the crowd. "We're moving patron check-in up here. Some people don't belong past the velvet." The jab in her words settled directly on Owen, whose only response was to tuck a stray bit of cash into the tip jar, clean knuckles careful. Her gaze returned, slicing at him again. "I said did you make the executive choice to bring your child here at this hour?" Owen placed a mug on the dish rack, movements measured. "She's not here yet, not against policy," he said, words low, unruffled. The man with the clipboard scribbled something, her mouth pressed a thin line. "Get the staff badge off, this isn't your section anymore," she said, loud enough for 2 tables to pause forks in midair. Owen set the spatula flat, then nodded, folding his apron once across his forearm. No escalation, nothing outside the choreography of retreat. But one hand found the thin plastic housing of a broken plug socket under the counter. Habit traced old scars, assessing risk, discipline, what had to be repaired, what could be left. He didn't speak again, not until the clipboard man gestured to the storeroom and the woman issued her final verdict. "Our event needs no distractions. Security will help you out." The edge of a morning sun slivered into the room. Owen blinked, straightened his posture, then turned for the exit. The job was never supposed to be the story. Behind him, the kitchen's small radio still stuttered, static swallowing the words. What he didn't see, the assistant's sidelong glance, or the half-checked box that would matter later. The door shut quietly, loop open. The apartment smelled faintly of sourdough and lemons, leftover from 3 days baking, wafting through the kitchen nook taped together against ceiling leaks. Sophia, all 5 years old with tangled hair and the stuffed bunny with one button eye tucked under her arm, sat at the table making 2 napkin hats, one for herself, one just slightly too small for Owen. She looked up when he walked in, fatigue settling into the way he lifted his shoulder bag from one arm, wincing just a second at the strap. The card in his wallet had failed him again at the gas station. Sophia drew her knees up, rabbit clutched close. "Daddy, why do you always keep fixing things for them if they don't say thank you?" Her voice made him stop 6 feet from the table. He set his bag down, thumb gently against his own wedding ring, still on a cheap twisted chain around his neck. "Because some things just need fixing, kid. he said, breath low, not looking at her. The silence grew roots, Sophia fussing with the bunny's ear. She rotated it in her hand, then poked lightly at his arm. Did Mommy ever get tired of doing hard stuff? He exhaled slowly, his gaze caught on the small framed photo by the sink. A woman with light eyes and hair swept back, forever caught mid-laugh, umbrella overhead on a drizzly roadside. The day she died. A car accident, glass mixing with windshield rain, her perfume bottle still sealed in his jacket pocket hours later. Owen's mind touched briefly on another memory, one rarely allowed voice. The battered leather-bound field notebook, its metal corners scarred, his name stenciled faintly on the inside cover, was jammed between a torn cookbook and Sophia's colored markers on the bookshelf. A battered challenge coin rested on its spine. He pulled a marker from his pocket. Quietly, he wrote, "You are braver than rain," on a strip of paper, folded it into Sophia's lunch box beside half a PB&J, the crusts off, their ritual since her mother's funeral 1 year ago. Sophia peered into the box, gumdrop bright eyes flickering. "Can Bunny get a note too?" "Bunny always gets the first one," Owen said, his mouth quirking. "Then you need a note too," she replied. Pause. "Daddy, will you come in for snack time today?" Her voice too honest by half. He almost said yes, but he caught himself, gaze dropped, instead rolling Sophia's napkin had a half twist tighter. "Not today, Sophie, maybe tomorrow." She accepted the answer, her small hands found his sleeve. "Okay, but try smile when snack comes," she said, whisper quiet. He walked her to the door, Bunny in one hand, Jim's shoes and lunchbox in the other, every step weighted by budget math running behind his eyes. $11 left in his account now, rent a red X on the calendar, the numbers marching toward decision day. The door closed between them. He folded her keepsake Bunny's tag in once, then twice by habit. Even the small things deserved one last good turn. Over the city, lights flashed, some never meant for him. The penthouse office of the charity's executive wing stretched wide, all glass and chrome. The woman known statewide as Marissa Grant rarely sat, her heels clicked rhythm behind the rosewood desk. She scanned the gala seating chart, voice clipped hard. "Move table 9, I said donors left, not right, bring chairs up 1 row. The assistant scrambled, tablet in hand. "Send out the board packet, remove the bakery sponsorship from slide 12. Donors prefer cleaner optics," Marissa said, not waiting for a reply. The coffee steamed untouched. A message pinged on her phone, an encrypted care app. "Your mother's home nurse messaged, medication due at 2. Marissa's jaw flexed once, and she silenced the alert, exhaling sharp. On the edge of her desk sat a photo, 2 women, one older, gentle-eyed hand crooked at Marissa's elbow, the other young, lean, and smarter than most men in every room. She ran a thumb across the frame, a motion between longing and calculation. The penthouse, for all its glass, held only a single wineglass, no poured wine. She adjusted the heavy silk scarf draped over the corner of her chair, thinking for just a second about calling the old number in her phone, her mother, before the memory fades entirely. The board minutes fluttered on her desktop. She switched tabs, Owen Reeves, kitchen help, temporary placement. Notable, no recent references, single parent, emergency contact missing. She highlighted the line, hovering over the terminate icon. Her words pulsed through the intercom. Alert the events lead, remove non-essential staff from the gala. Her assistant ducked back in, voice hesitant. There's a supply issue, shortage in the main line. You want us to wait on the bakery evening crew? Marissa's lips thinned. Expedite or find someone who doesn't freeze at setbacks. Her eyes flicked toward the calendar, circling midnight in red. The investor portal would close then, 6 hours for the biggest charitable fund transfer of her career if she kept it all running on schedule. A single call to the services dispatcher clinched it. That kitchen tech, move him out, no confusion tonight. Yes, Miss Grant. A message came in from the home nurse. She swiped it away, hand hovering, phone screen blank. Nothing would disrupt her event, not mother's memory, not anyone else's. In the stillness, her eyes darted to the city below. Segments of blue light flickered, sometimes lights failed, but Marissa planned for failures, she always had. She stood a moment longer at her window, skyline perfect, event schedule set, the first move already made. Day of gala, 24 hours later. The ballroom gleamed under rented crystal, folding partitions, hiding the chaos of last-minute repairs. Owen stood by the rear kitchen doors, clutching the delivery manifest, arms streaked in flour, the heat from ovens pressing against his back. He didn't belong up here, the staff repeated. Still, he watched everything. A sudden blackout roared through the room. Overhead, half the chandeliers fizzled, bulbs cracking. Panic whipped through assistants. The sound system died and the crowd pressed outward, voices rising. No one moved toward the panel except for Owen. He scanned the chaos, locating the electrical closet in a beat. He knelt, ignoring a bite on his own knee where a dough bucket had landed earlier. He traced the wiring, the main bus shorted behind loose insulation. Cut power upstream, he ordered the nearest technician, his voice clinical, precise. The lead technician shook his head. Can't get access, locked and we lost the key. Owen glanced once at the schematic posted beside the door, then twitched a finger at a relay box. It's not the breaker, the return's fine, but you're missing a bypass on the live bus. Someone's cross-wired the panel. The kitchen staff bristled. A younger assistant, Kay, hurriedly knelt. How'd you know that? She whispered, watching as Owen's hands manipulated the wires, swift and certain. He clipped a jumper cable, then patched it through. Above, light stuttered twice, surged on, applause erupting outside the kitchen doors. Murmurs swept through the room. Not bad for the baker, someone snorted. Marissa swept in, eyes darting to Owen. Probably a lucky guess, we get a lot of half-drained people. Kay hesitated, observing Owen with new calculation. No, he knew before I said anything, she said after, voice small. Marissa shrugged, pivoting to her assistant. Make sure it's logged, I don't tolerate shortcuts. Later, Kay watched Owen slip quietly from the service hall, his eyes already scanning repair notes for the next glitch. She trailed him, mind working, details stacking, a familiarity she couldn't quite place. Kay pressed her hand to the clip-on staff badge now resting in her palm. She had seen this before, 20 years ago. Kay spent her lunch hour at the far edge of the staff locker room. Phone in hand, she traced Owen's employee file, then ran a background check on an old office computer. The program spun, buffering through outdated registry forms. His resume was thin, only 3 years of civilian bakery work, no university, no credit card, no debt history before 5 years back. A dead woman's emergency contact on record, same name as the child he dropped off at school. The link to old grant paperwork surfaced with a ping. A scanned offer letter, his signature declining a named position in the charity's disaster response wing 6 years ago, before his daughter's birth. On the playground, Sophia pressed the bunny's tattered face against the window as rain tapped. Daddy says people fix things because some things need fixing. Her teacher, overheard through the ajar staff room door, nodded. That's true. Did you know your dad used to help people before the bakery? Sophia thought about that, ear twisted on her keepsake. He always comes for me, even when he's late. Time pressure returned with a vengeance. The investor exit window, circled in red on every screen in the charity's war room, loomed. At the bakery, Owen watched the clock grind toward midnight, the numbers echoing his own timeline, Sophia's tuition, rent, and groceries at their thinnest margin. Back at the gala, Marissa's fixer, a man named Lester, intercepted Kay in the hall. Eugene Bond now, Kay, looking into kitchen staff. His smirk was thin. Kay squared her shoulders. You ever wonder why some people are so good at disappearing? Maybe because they don't want to be found. Lester's eyes narrowed. It's called a background check. Stay in your lane. Near midnight, Marissa ordered Lester, clear the floor. Anyone without clearance is out, especially the kitchen guy. Kay, ducking aside, managed a whispered call to Owen. They're pushing, you need to be careful. Don't let them pin this on you. Owen's hand flattened against the phone. Understood, I won't make new problems, thanks for the heads up. Back at home, Sophia curled on the sofa, lunchbox tucked tight, bunny between her knees. She spoke quietly into the night. Daddy, but if she's alone, can Bunny go with her? Sometimes people need friends. He stopped, hands wet from dishes, and just looked at her. She watched him, eyes unblinking, the sort of gaze that saw right through layers. Outside, the rain fell harder. No more time, pressure built. On the boardroom monitor, the clock turned red. The next morning, Marissa made her final move. Owning the lobby, she made the public announcement, denied access to all but authorized event crew. There will be no further delays. Any staff cross-listed for both event and kitchen is permanently reassigned. Staff children are no longer permitted in first-floor sections or at snack times. Owen watched the unfolding drama from the bakery counter. Today, he wore his old watch, the metal band refitted onto a cheap strap, sleeves rolled higher than usual. The flour was already gone from his hands. He folded a spare napkin with careful precision, then placed it beside Sophia's rain boots on the floor. She'd have to wear them inside today, the rules would not bend. Kay appeared next to him, voice low. They know too much, Lester's behind it, they'll pull your file for good if you're not careful. He didn't move, only glanced at her. Don't worry, I just cook here. She shook her head, not just that, I saw the letter, you turned them down once. He pressed his lips together, eyes still on the door. Some debts pay out slow. As Marissa paced above, her phone rang, an outside line number withheld. The voice was brief, urgent. She listened, color draining from her forehead down as the board's general counsel spoke. Due diligence inquiry regarding today's changes was escalated. Your public exclusion move flagged. Marissa stiffened, hand gripping the desk hard enough to blanch knuckles. Handle it, she said to herself, scanning the window, city lights flickering. Mother's home nurse messaged again, confusion, late medication. Meanwhile, Sophia's teacher called Owen to school for a bland incident report. Sophia's lunch note had been confiscated after she let another sad kid read it. Why do people need to hurt other people? Sophia whispered, cheeks blotchy under cafeteria lights. Owen gathered her tucked bunny under her arm. They don't soft, sometimes things go sideways. Kay, working the kitchen, placed Owen's declined job offer into an envelope and sent it to the charity board secretary by courier. He should not have made this her problem. The main event brought everyone under the same vaulted roof. Tables arced around the dance floor, velvet ropes in place. Marissa's right hand, Lester, worked the security teams out front, scanning guest badges with a Hawks reserve. Lights dimmed for the keynote. Marissa took center stage, microphone in hand, voice measured steel. Tonight, before our honored guests, I am proud to announce the final transfer completing our foundation's year of giving. Applause blinding. At the rear, Owen, no longer kitchen staff, entered, a slightly better coat over rolled-up shirt sleeves, his watch now gleaming in low light. Sophia's bunny peeked out from a side bag, a silent mascot. Kay hovered at the tech console, eyes on both Owen and the board seats. She held one envelope in trembling hands. Marissa's assistant played a video on the mammoth projection screen. A ribbon cutting from 5 years back, plaque revealed on camera. The name, Owen Reeves, dedication honoree, glinted under spotlights. Someone at the board table asked, "Who is that? That name?" The directors looked from the screen to Owen at the back of the room. The crowd turned. Kay spoke softly into the side mic. That's him. The foundation's ex-ranger declined the job for family, built the program everyone's using tonight. Lester blinked, only now making the connection. The board chair looked at Marissa. You excluded the man whose name is literally on the main endowment wall. Color retreated from Marissa's face, jaw slack. No one told me he'd be. Owen's gaze, steady and grave, found hers across the sea of faces. He stepped forward, voice calm, direct. Doesn't take authority, just attention. A ripple ran through the crowd. The assistant's hands fumbled a glass, a board member uncapped his pen without writing. Marissa's voice, uncertain now, barely above a whisper, asked, "Was any of it true?" Her hand pressed to the podium like she needed to anchor. Owen said nothing. Kay folded the offer letter onto the table. It was never about a seat. He just showed up when nobody else would. Silence, the speaker system caught the ambient hum of hundreds of breaths, all waiting. Marissa searched for a response, but the only sound was the shuffle of Sophia's bunny brushing canvas. The confession didn't require reply. Was any of it true? The words hung between them. 6 months later, the charity's new director, Kay, set the notes for the morning's meeting on her new desk, a far humbler office but looking out over a busy street. The foundation had quietly accepted Marissa's resignation. Her name appeared once a month now, speaking engagements canceled, stories recounted in careful past tense. Owen arrived just before Sophia's first grade ended for the year. This time, lunchbox note folded into thirds read, "You are braver now than ever before." Sophia giggled, bunny's ear tied in a bow, her teacher waving with approval. He glanced toward Kay outside, greeting her with a small nod. Kay responded, voice light, "You're running a little late again." He shrugged, eyes at peace. Old habits. Sophia tugged at his sleeve, face solemn. "Daddy, can we go slow today?" Her voice echoed that first question, less about time, more about attention. He bent to her level, smile genuine. "Yeah, Soph, we can go as slow as you want." Traffic thrummed somewhere outside. The past, for once, didn't sharpen every edge. Some debts take years to pay, others longer. But when truth finds daylight, even silence becomes a kind of reply. That final hush between question and answer, between the lost and the returned, is where the story finished itself. The office light flickered above Kay's head as she leaned over the quarterly reports. A mug of tepid tea nestled at her elbow. Rain pattered against the window, tracing long, meandering rivulets down the glass. She paused, flexing her hand to ease the tension in her wrist, then glanced at the photograph Sophia had given her last week, a crude marker sketch of a bunny holding an umbrella. "Thank you, Miss Kay," scrawled exuberantly in Sophia's careful, looping print. Kay smiled, her gaze drifting beyond her own tired reflection to the bustling sidewalk below. There was a soft knock at her door. "Come in," she called, expecting one of the interns, but instead a familiar, heavy tread entered. Owen stood in the doorway, Sophia just behind him, half hiding and half curious, gripping her now rather threadbare bunny. "I'm not interrupting," Owen asked, voice gentle. "Never," Kay replied, pushing her chair back with a grateful sigh. "You on school pickup duty today?" "It's our turn for library day," he said, glancing at Sophia, who grinned and rocked back and forth on her toes. "Thought we'd see your office. She's convinced you have a secret bunny club." Sophia giggled, "You have bunny hats." Kay reached for her bottom drawer and with a flourish presented a stack of folded napkins, practice runs in origami, most of them. She placed one atop Sophia's head. "Honorary member, password is HOP." Sophia beamed and looked to Owen for approval. He nodded, his gaze softening at the sight. "Hot chocolate for the road," Kay offered. "We've only got instant, but I suspect that's a favorite." "Yes, please," Sophia chirped, hopping in place. As Kay bustled to the kitchenette, Owen drifted over to the window. Below, umbrellas bloomed open against the rain, a shifting sea of small kindnesses and brief shared shelter. The streetcar rumbled past, its operator pausing to wave at a trio of schoolchildren. For a moment, the silence between him and Kay felt full rather than fraught, past debts and missteps eased by the small, sturdy shape of Sophia's laughter. Kay returned with steaming mugs. The three settled on the low visitor couch, its springs protesting quietly under Owen's weight. "You're settling in well," Owen observed, nodding toward the stacks of folders and annotated calendars. Kay sipped her tea. "It's a different challenge every day. Fewer parties, more paperwork, sometimes more impact, I think." Sophia slurped her chocolate, then cocked her head. "Do you fix things like Daddy?" Kay thought for a moment, meeting Owen's searching gaze. "Sometimes, other times I just make sure the right people have what they need. Your dad's much better at the fixing part, though." Owen shrugged, brushing a crumb from his knee. "Most things stay fixed if someone cares enough to notice." "Like the time you saved the pancake breakfast from the stove fire," Sophia pressed, eager, "and when you showed me how to fix Bunny's ripped paw." He ruffled her hair. "You fixed Bunny's paw, Soph, I just tied the knot." He looked back at Kay, seriousness gathering in his eyes. "I never said thank you for what you did, for all of it. You could have just watched it happen." Kay set her mug down with a soft clink. "I got to do what I wanted this time, and I sent that offer to the board because I knew it wasn't right to let you disappear again. You taught me something about paying attention." Owen's mouth tightened, something old and painful flickering across his expression, but he nodded. "Attention's most of it." A gentle rap sounded at the door. Kay's new assistant, Megan, peeked in, cheeks flushed. "Sorry, Miss Ellis, but the school supply drive ran out of volunteer lists. Should I?" "Kay rose, I'll help you with the new packet. Sophia Owen, you're welcome to stay if you need to dry off." Sophia slid from the couch, balancing her mug. "Can we come help count books?" Megan grinned, clearly smitten with Sophia's napkin bunny hat. "Absolutely, I think we need some hopping volunteers anyway." They trooped down the corridor together, Sophia bounding ahead, Kay and Owen trailing at a more measured pace. In the storage room, cardboard boxes waited in neat rows, each marked by grade and subject. Sophia dove straight in, counting aloud and arranging stacks with delight, by color, then by animal name, then by which ones would make good bedtime stories. Owen and Kay made quick work of the heavier lifting, their movements companionable. "You ever going to take a bigger role?" Kay asked quietly, voice pitched for Owen and no one else. He shook his head, considering. "Maybe, or maybe I just keep being where I'm needed. Quiet's not so bad." Kay eyed him sidelong. "We could always use someone in outreach, circuit repair, community events, tutoring, maybe even fix the snack budget spreadsheets once in a while." He snorted, one column at a time. "Don't wait too long," she said, her tone laced with something hopeful. Sophia, overhearing, turned to Owen, brow furrowed. "Are you going to work here with Miss Kay? Is that why we came?" He hunkered down to her level, forehead nearly touching hers. "We came because there's always one more thing worth fixing, Soph, even if it's just saying thank you." She nodded gravely, as if this was a deep secret to carry. They finished sorting books as the rain let up, watery sunlight beginning to streak the clouds. On the walk home, Sophia splashed through puddles, her boots sending up sprays of water that caught coppery in the dying light. Owen watched her, something easing in his shoulders. There were many things still to be done, yes, but those could come slowly, one at a time. He fished in his pocket and handed Sophia a folded napkin, the last one Kay had given him, now crafted into a boat. "For the river," he said. Sophia crouched, launching it into the curb's streaming water, and together they bent low to watch it bob and whirl, carried forward, tiny but steady. Across the city, stories continued. Kay, cleaning up after the day's work, found a new message from Marissa Grant, a brief, businesslike apology for her own failings, attached to a donation receipt for the new outreach center. Kay filed it away, heart buoyed, and began typing a grant appeal of her own. Marissa, living now in a brownstone far from glass towers and velvet ropes, brewed tea for her mother and sat vigil through the dusk, her phone silent but memory alive. Some debts, she'd realized, were not for paying off but for mending, slowly, awkwardly, and with no audience to applaud. At the aftercare program, Sophia's teacher traced the note she'd found in the quiet of the lunchroom, the one Sophia had slipped to another child. "You are braver than rain." The teacher called a grateful mother that evening, passing along the message and a reminder that kindness sometimes came from small, unseen hands. In a different bakery, not far from where it all began, a line of customers formed through the morning, drawn by rumor of the scones, the warmth, and the quiet man who always had fresh napkins folded like boats, hats, or hearts for children who looked scared or sad. Owen greeted each with a half-smile, alive in the routine in the work of small rescues. A meeting months later gathered the foundation's leadership, staff, and a rowdy collection of children, Sophia among them, front and center on the community hall floor. Kay stood, adjusting her glasses, nerves thrumming. "Thank you for coming," she began. "This is the first of our open meetings, our own kind of truth-telling. Tonight we thank the people who show up, not for applause, but for noticing what needs to be done." Owen, in the back row, shifted uncomfortably as the attention swept toward him. Sophia sat up straighter, her bunny's good ear held high. "We have new programs, more direct scholarships, and bakeries that serve real breakfast after the bell," Kay continued, and a ripple of laughter rolled through the room. "But mostly, we're here to remind each other to look for what's missing, then fix it together." She nodded once at Owen, an unspoken thank you passing between them. As applause rose, Sophia scrambled onto the stage, clutching her napkin boat. "Can I say something?" she piped. An assistant handed her the microphone. Sophia took a deep breath. My daddy says even if you make mistakes, you can always fix them if you pay attention. Miss K helps too. And, she glanced at Owen, who nodded, eyes suspiciously bright, it's okay to go slow as long as you're together. Someone in the front wiped their eyes. Owen ducked his head, pride and embarrassment warring on his face. After the meeting, volunteers stacked chairs, children darted around with hats and boats, and Kay found herself alone in the glow of string lights. Owen approached quietly. You know, you've built something good here, he murmured. So did you, Kay replied, even before anyone noticed. He shrugged, someone always has to start. Stay for a while, she suggested. We'll need someone to judge the napkin folding contest. A faint smile, wouldn't miss it. Much later, the street emptied, Kay locked the building, and Owen and Sophia walked slowly home beneath a sky-threatening rain but holding off out of courtesy. Sophia clutched her bunny in one hand, the napkin boat in another. Daddy. Yes, off. What do you dream about now? He thought about it for a long moment, then said quietly, I dream about breakfast and slow mornings, and sometimes I dream we don't have to be brave at all, just happy. Sophia nodded, satisfied. I dream about bunnies who can fix anything. He grinned, not arguing. They crossed the intersection, lamp posts casting slow golden cones around them. Home waited ahead, a patchwork of warmth, tomorrow's lunch note ready to be written, bills still due but lighter, spoke of in truthful whispers between two people and one faithful bunny. When they reached the stoop, Sophia paused. Can Bunny have 2 notes tomorrow? As many as you want, maybe even one from Miss K if you ask nicely. Sophia's smile was wide enough to reach morning. Owen lifted her high, spun her once, both laughing as if nothing in the world could topple them. Night air hummed, rain holding its peace. Windows glowed along the block, each a firefly of quiet hope. Some debts were never fully gone, but some things finally had been fixed, and that was enough. Above, the city's lights blinked, not with warning, but like blessings. Every window, every home, every small, brave story, returning in the end to the simple power of paying attention. And in a room no longer dark, a breaker clicked on, candles guttered, the bulbs steadied, faces warmed in new light, the story ending where all good stories do, in the hush before the next beginning.